We've got too many developments that are abandoned and we've got too much space already. Let's use the space and land we have already. Let's do a beautification project. Let's give some power to our small business owners who don't have enough employees coming to their shops and who are breaking out. Some of them are breaking even, some of them are reporting a loss. So right now, we need to focus on what we have and not even mess with the green line. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll go to District 8, and we'll start with Mr. Hines.
To answer the question of what should we do to encourage development north of the green line, it's to repurpose our aging strip malls in the right areas. And so there's a mechanism in which you can do that, and it's just basically called rezoning parts of the areas. We have to be a business-friendly city while still maintaining the character of our neighborhoods, okay? So I talked about the bike trail. That's one thing, that's a public investment. We have a lot of aging strip malls right out here on the boulevard that is prime real estate that we can rezone to allow developers by right and give them some certainty to build some higher density condos, townhomes, and apartments. So we've got to be business friendly. We have to use the zoning department to incentivize the outcomes we want as a city. But that's one way we can do it. I do not support funding private developments with our tax dollars. We've done enough of that. Those dollars that we use for public-private partnerships need to go to the police, fire, EMS, and teachers.
Okay, thank you. And now Mr. Jones.
Yeah, that's a great question about the green line. So I don't believe that we should, if we're talking about fiscal responsibility, there should not be more tax dollars allocated to going beyond the green line, because the tax implications of developing in areas without sewage and utilities could be astounding, right? We have city property, we have underdeveloped properties, well, not really underdeveloped, just underutilized properties that have gone vacant that we could use and work with developers to turn that into affordable housing. So that would be the more fiscally responsible approach to not dipping into the pockets of our constituents and offer both affordable housing and keeping jobs here, keeping employees here, keeping the working class here by providing them fiscal or affordable housing rather. And let's not forget about the seniors too. We have people vacating Virginia Beach. We need to bring them back here and let them have an affordable place to stay by providing that and using what we already have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Connor?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to mimic a couple things that were said. Yes, there does have to be some rezoning. We do have a lot of basically available strip mall land, a lot of flat land. We do need to be looking at more multi-use buildings, and we do need to be looking at more strategic density. But a big part of what we've got to keep in mind when we look at rezoning is we lose the same proffers that we would get with conditional zoning. So we're going to have a plan for what we do for school populations increasing, and how do we teach and house those students. We're going to have a plan for what we do about an increased need for public transportation for people to get around those places. Rezoning takes that proffer burden and makes it easier for businesses, but we still have impacts outside of economic impacts and job impacts. We have impacts on all of our services that go on in that community. And so when we do these rezonings and we do these plans, we have to make sure we're taking those impacts to the community into account, not just how it's going to benefit the businesses.
Thank you. And Mr. Cummings?
Well, I'm glad that some of the other people up here have read my webpage, and they're now adopting what I've been talking about since February when no one else was. So, I do believe that we have to repurpose some of our commercial properties. I've been saying that all along. What I would like to see is for people that own those properties to be able to get a conditional rezoning so that they can take that property while it's still being used in its current form, so they still have income coming in, and they can market that property to developers for multi-purpose uses or residential uses. I think that we also need to streamline the process for developers to be able to come in and redevelop these properties. That we need to make it an easier permit process, easier review process, and so that we're not taking 2 and 3 years to get a project from the sale to getting something into the ground.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to District 1, and I'll just repeat the question. What plans would you support to encourage new residential and business ventures on existing spaces north of the Green Line?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. As it's been hit ad nauseum at several levels, and I agree with many of the things I've heard some of my colleagues, candidates and electeds have said here. When you talk about repurposing north of the Green Line, there are many anemic shopping centers that can be found throughout the city. Having grown up here, the face of Virginia Beach has changed so much over the years. The businesses, it's constantly changing, and that's the way a city works. The city is constantly changing. However, we also need to keep in mind the spirit of a city. We also need to keep in mind that the things that make the city great and act as a magnet continue to draw people to our city. And so when you're talking about repurposing above the Green Line, you really need to be conscious of that spirit, but at the same time, using opportunities to develop existing parcels that can be developed properly, to address housing affordability. And the way you address that is by increasing inventory, and it has to be done strategically. So you increase the inventory, prices go down, housing becomes more affordable. You let the market fix it. That's my opinion.
Thank you. And for District 3, we have Councilman Berlucci.
Thank you. I'd love the opportunity to answer the question, but may I offer just a few words of greeting or introduction before I do, since I just arrived? Thank you. Well, good evening, and I'm thrilled to be here with all of you for the Hampton Roads Black Caucus Candidate Forum. My name is Michael Berlucci, and it's the honor and privilege of my lifetime to serve as a member and responsibility to serve as a member of City Council representing and serving District 3. I hope you'll forgive my tardiness. I just came from a very robust and packed town hall meeting where we were addressing a serious issue that's impacting a District 3 neighborhood related to a homeless encampment, vessels that are in state waterways that people live on, and the associated behaviors. So the responsibility part of service is that I had to be at that town hall to make sure that I heard those concerns and that they knew that their council member addressed them. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I look forward to continuing this debate. I see 1 minute goes fast, doesn't it? But it's great to be here, and I'm happy to answer the question about encouraging growth and housing above the Green Line.
Yes, sir.
I think the answer is that housing affordability, and actually affordability in general, is a top priority for our community, and it must remain a top priority for our City Council. One of the best ways to encourage an increase in housing availability, which will impact affordability, is to have transparency as we update the comprehensive plan with our community so that neighborhoods and established neighborhoods and Virginia Beach citizens can know and understand and participate in formulating plans to address the issues that we all face, such as housing affordability. There are areas where there are less established neighborhoods where we could consider increasing density. Areas that flood less. And in those areas, we should work hard to do that. But at the same time, we have to be transparent with the community and engage the community in the process so that everyone has a seat at the table, can formulate and participate in those plans, and then know and expect how that planning will unfold into the future.
Okay, thank you, candidates. We were asked as moderators to get you to 6:15. You didn't know that. Thank you for getting us here. And at this point, our sponsor would like to make an announcement about an intermission where we can all take advantage of some food.
We're going to take a short intermission so you guys can refresh and get some refreshments. As Jen